committee for Monday. The meeting of the Everett School Committee will come to order for October 4th. Can we please all rise and salute the flag?
Allegiance
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And I'm sorry, I jumped the gun there. We needed a roll call.
Mr. Abraze,
here.
Mr. Barros,
Here.
Ms. Cardello,
Here.
Mayor DiMaria, Ms. Lambert,
Present.
Mr. LaMonica, Ms. Murray,
Here.
Mr. Panarisi, Ms. Sarni, Ms. Dinah Lewis,
Here.
Mr. Parker.
Here, 6 members present. We do have a quorum. Mr. DiMaria, Mr. Monica, Mr. Panarisi all had business commitments, and Ms. Sani is recuperating from. I'm sorry. What's Plan B? Oh. Okay. Just to the viewers from home, and lastly, Ms. Sani is recuperating from surgery. Just for the viewers at home, as you know, there was an outage at Facebook earlier today. We have some issues, it seems, but because of the language of our meeting that said the school committee members will be meeting in person at Everett High School, and the in-person option is now open to the public, we will conduct this meeting because that language allows us to. Should there be any interruptions, this meeting is being recorded on Zoom and will be posted to our website either tomorrow or the day after. So we are in accordance. I had the conversation earlier with Attorney Galvin. We are in accordance with the open meeting law should the Facebook feed fail. So thank you for your time on that. So we have a quorum, as I said, we have 6 members. And so the next item is Roman numeral number 3.
So Roman numeral 3 is the reading of the records from September 20th, 2021.
Make a motion to waive the reading and place on file.
Second.
Okay, a motion has been made and seconded to waive the reading and placed on file. Since all members are present and we do not have any members of the school committee participate remotely, we can do voice votes. So with that on the motion, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. You have accepted the minutes. Roman number 4, please.
Roman numeral 4 is public comment.
Make a motion to open public comment.
I'll second.
Okay, a motion is made and seconded to open for public comment. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. You have open public comment. Ms. Leston, do we have anybody that's looking to participate in public comment?
No.
We do not. Okay, I don't see anybody here in the chamber looking to participate. Okay, we have nobody for public comment. Ladies and gentlemen, your pleasure.
I'll move to close public comment.
Second.
Okay, motion is made and seconded to close public comment. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. You've closed public comment. I don't know. Roman numeral number 5, report of the superintendent.
Thank you. So Roman numeral 5, report of the superintendent. We're going to start with item number 1, which is the update. As usual, is my sound okay? Can everybody hear me? All right. Okay. Well, good evening to all, everyone here and everyone at home. Thank you for joining us. All right. So this evening, our update features a combination of spotlights, events, and happenings. It reflects all of the exciting things that are going on in the Everett Public Schools and the momentum we are building as we move into October. Also tonight, we will introduce a new component to the superintendent's update. It is called the School Showcase, which gives our principals and assistant principals a chance to talk specifically about their school communities, the work that is being done in their classrooms, and their approaches to the 2021-2022 school year. There's great and obvious benefit in hearing directly from our school leaders, and we're excited to have them here with us tonight, who can speak specifically about curriculum, social and emotional initiatives, extracurricular activities, and strategies to meet the needs of this especially unique school year. So to start, I wanted to remind the entire EPS community that the upcoming Brandon Condy 5K, which we hope will be a huge success and a great benefit to one of our former students, is coming up soon. The Race and Walk fundraiser, which is being organized by the city, is slated for 10 a.m. on Sunday, October 24th at Glendale Park. You can easily register for the race using the link that is shown on this slide. Brandon Condy is a lifelong Everett resident who is a tetraplegic as a result of injuries he suffered during an accident in 2019, and all proceeds from the 5K will benefit Brandon's continued recovery. Brandon attended the Parlin School, and he did graduate from Everett High in 2012. He played for the Crimson Tide and at Bridgewater State, where he earned a bachelor's degree in biology. 3 years ago, October 24th was named Brandon Condy Day in Everett, during which residents are asked to wear red. This year, Brandon and the city are stepping up their efforts to include this 5K fundraiser. And obviously, I encourage anyone watching tonight to participate and to share this opportunity broadly with your friends and family. As we discussed during the September 20th meeting, EPS schools have been hosting Get to Know Your School Better events. These give parents and guardians the chance to meet with staff and learn about their students' schools and classrooms. They are proving to be very successful. First and foremost, it's great to be able to bring, the students, staff, and families together at the beginning of the year for introductions and for socializing. It is also important for staff to be able to explain the classroom procedures, expectations, and other essential information that parents need to know about their students' education. And last but not least, these events have definitely been helpful in gathering and solidifying parent and guardian contact information, as that's really important to our parent engagement efforts. The Whittier held its event on September 22nd. It was, a great team effort. EHS student ambassadors were on hand to help greet and assist our families. City Year AmeriCorps members provided music and dancing. The Bread of Life raffled 5 Stop and Shop gift cards. Representatives from our Parent Information Center distributed hand sanitizers. Guests were treated to Richie Slush, and CFO Anu Jayant and Budget and Grants Director Shirley Peng distributed backpacks containing Crayola supplies to our elementary students. Special thanks to the Whittier PTO for taking a lead role in organizing the event, as well as those parents and guardians who took the time to fill out our ESSER survey during the festivities. The Lafayette School also held its Know Your School Better night on the 22nd. Teachers spoke to parents about curriculum for each grade and subject area and informed them about how to stay in contact throughout the year. Community Engagement Manager Jeanette Velez and family liaisons were on hand to help translate for parents. We handed out strategy packets that help parents assist their students with math and ELA assignments and projects. And representatives from Elliott Family Resource Center informed parents about the breadth and depth of the programs it offers. And not to be outdone by the Whittier, the Lafayette School also served slush to its guests. And then the Devin School held its back to school night on September 23rd. We were thrilled to support this event by having the Chicken and Rice Guys food truck cater that night. The festivities were held outdoors, and the weather was ideal for students and families to gather and spend time with each other and the dedicated Devin staff. In addition, Brian Wallace did inform us that he, quote, crushed the entertainment with his killer playlist, but I wasn't there to testify to that. But these are wonderful events, and we're so happy to be able to see students, families, and staff all back together again where they belong. In a similar light, we are excited to announce a Get to Know Your School. In addition to the Get to Know Your School nights, the Department of English Learners is hosting an EL Family Night on Tuesday, October 12th from 5 to 7 p.m. at the Parlin School. This is a district-wide event, and EL families from throughout the district are encouraged to join us a week from tomorrow night. So this event will give parents and guardians the chance to meet the EL staff, including our new director, Brittany Hay. It's also a great opportunity to ask questions about EL education, EL levels. Adults will also have the chance to sign up for the free English language classes we offer. And our EL family night will be catered by the Chicken and Rice Guys and the Vaz and Mac Tex-Mex taco truck. In addition, we're going to have representatives from our community partners, such as Zoomix, who will be in attendance to talk about their services and programs, and other community partners as well. So quickly turning to Crimson Tide Athletics, since we last checked in, all of our teams have started their interscholastic play for the fall 2021 season. Some of the highlights include that the golf team opened the season with a 3-team match versus Lynn Classical and the Revere Malden Co-op team. Also, Alex Velasco, Matt Turilli, Mackenzie Powers, and Justin Longmore all played very well in the opener, and the team followed that up with an even stronger performance in a narrow defeat to Lynn English at the Stoneham Oaks golf course. Our field hockey team notched a 2-0 win over Revere. The Ehs Cross Country team hosted its first ever meet at our new 3-mile home course at River Green Park. The girls soccer team recorded its first victory of the season with a resounding 6-0 triumph over Chelsea. Jatalia Boyce scored 3 goals for the Crimson Tide, while Amelia Maria Babcock scored twice. And the team followed that up with a 1-0 win over Lynn English in GBL play, with Lamayo Wizards scoring the game winner, and a 5-1 non-league triumph over Greater Lawrence. The boys soccer team continued its strong play with a 5-0 shutout of Lynn English. And this past Friday, our volleyball team recorded its first win of the season, defeating the Pioneer Charter School of Science in straight sets. Senior captains Jackie Branches and Ashley Hernandez both had amazing games for Coach Jen Spain's team. And the EHS football team is now 3-0 and enjoyed a bye week last week. The Crimson Tide will return to action this Friday at home versus Lynn Classical. And the Crimson Tide's latest victory was a 42-0 triumph at Lynn English. If anyone is interested in ordering EHS apparel as part of the EHS Athletic Department's fall fundraiser, please visit the website on this slide. There are a lot of different options to choose from. Finally, we are planning homecoming festivities for later this month. We are working with the EHS Athletic Department, EHS leaders, and the Student Council on finalizing the schedule, which we will announce as soon as it's ready within the next few days. And then we invite everyone's attendance and support in planning and getting that ready. The Parent Information Center is moving from the Caverian School back to Everett City Hall. So we're going to close the Caverian PIC at the end of the day on Thursday, October 7th, and move it over the weekend and officially open our City Hall office on Tuesday, October 12th after the holiday weekend. So when we open our City Hall location, our hours will be Mondays from 7:30 a.m. to 5:30 p.m., Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays from 7:30 a.m. to 3:30 p.m., and Fridays from 7:30 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. So unlike when the PIC was previously located at City Hall, visitors are being asked to use the main entrance, which is adjacent to the parking lot, and not the door on Church Street. This decision is driven by space considerations. Our City Hall location is bigger and will be more comfortable for our staff and those who are registering students for school. Families who do need to register students must continue to book an appointment. And once we settle into our new space, we will look at how we can expand the services we're offering at the PIC and how this can further benefit our families in the future. So on Tuesday, September 28th, 36 EPS parents and guardians received a certificate of completion and a free Chromebook for completing a technology class we offered as part of our partnership with the organization Tech Goes Home, or TGH. We held a graduation ceremony inside the EHS cafeteria that was catered by Oliveras. The TGH classes are taught by our family liaisons, with sessions offered in English, Spanish, Portuguese, and Haitian Creole. Participants learn essential skills designed to build confidence in using technology. And topics include communicating with school staff, finding educational programs, accessing public benefits, financial literacy, and even job searching. Our next round of TGH classes does start this week, and we still have some slots open. So any interested EPS family members should reach out to our community engagement manager, Jeanette Velez, to sign up. The 4-week classes are held once a week from 5 to 7:30 p.m. The Portuguese class is held on Wednesdays at the Parlin School. The Haitian Creole class is Wednesdays at the Caverian. The Spanish course is held on Tuesdays at EHS. And the English course is Wednesdays at the Madeline English School. And again, everyone who completes the course receives a free Chromebook. So far, we've had 58 EPS parents and guardians who've completed this course. And our most recent graduating class featured 2 8-person Haitian Creole classes led by family liaisons Beverly Adonis and Steve August. And of course, no one can speak better to this opportunity or with more authority than someone who completed it. So in that light, we wanted to share the following remarks we received from a parent who was a student in Iris Manji's class. I was aware how in TGH you were dealing with people with vastly different levels of experience. You managed to encourage all of us and were consistently upbeat. You were quite flexible dealing with changing situations, this person said of Ms. Manji. He concluded by saying, as a result of TGH, I have a much greater understanding of what my kids are experiencing. So we look forward to continuing that program this upcoming year. So as I mentioned before, the Everett Public Schools is poised to receive a 3rd round of federal relief or ESSER funds totaling $13 million. The process includes an application which we submitted today. And obviously this is a great opportunity to make, significant one-time injection of funds. So to help guide us, we surveyed parents, teachers, staff, students, and members of the community to weigh in on how to best utilize the ESSER funds for the benefit of the EPS. We received more than 300 responses, and this chart shows the breakdown of who participated. Parents and guardians represent a little more than 70% of the respondents, and more than a fourth of the respondents came from our staff. I want to thank all of the staff members and our Ms. Janth and Ms. Pang for going out to the Get to Know Your School Better nights, because that was also a place where they encouraged families to give their input on how we should use these funds. So when we asked about what our priorities should be, reflecting all things that are all worthy. So in this slide, you see several different priorities that are within our field of vision. So as you can see, enhancing core instruction through tutoring and mentoring was the top priority amongst those who completed the survey. Developing conditions for student success through social, emotional, and mental health supports was a popular response. Expanding our offerings and accessibility to career and technical programs, enhancing and adding to our curriculum, and continued health and safety supports were also noted as priorities through the survey. So we have used this feedback to inform our ESSER submission, and we'll continue to do so with the future ESSER funds. So for example, in response to the need for greater social emotional supports, we are launching a team of success coaches. So instead of hiring additional school monitors, even the title sounds punitive, these success coaches are charged with ensuring that our students who are most in need have the support that they need to learn and grow from a positive and supportive framework. So the approach to each student will be individualized and focused not only on academics, enrichment, and social factors, but also using a lens that supports students from different contexts and cultures. And their primary goal will be to partner with other relevant school staff to support students and families to remove any barriers to learning. So this is just one example of the way we are filtering the money to support these priorities. So early last week, the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education announced that it is extending its indoor mask mandate at least through November 1st. So this means that all staff and students age 5 and over are required to wear face coverings while indoors. as must all visitors to our schools. And here in the Everett Public Schools, we're asking that all of our students are wearing them. And it actually has been quite successful, even with our, our younger students. No additional guidance has been attached to what was announced at the beginning of the school year. So this is really just a case of us continuing the protocols we already have in place as far as masking. Beginning October 15th, if a school demonstrates a vaccination rate of 80% or more of all students and staff, then vaccinated individuals in that school would no longer be subject to the mask requirement. So, this continues to underscore the importance of vaccination efforts, but particularly among students and staff at Everett High School, where we could potentially surpass the 80% threshold, since a majority of the people in the building are eligible to receive the vaccine. So COVID-19, it continues to present leaders with difficult decisions, very few of which are sure to satisfy every member of a large and diverse community. But that said, I do want to commend DESE for being proactive in issuing guidance and for building the flexibility and to make adjustments as circumstances do permit. DESE's recommendations are based on the best available data and medical advice, and it certainly makes sense for the EPS to continue to follow these mandates at this point in time. So here is our regular update on the number of confirmed COVID-19 cases in Everett among residents age 19 and under. So as you can see, positive cases jumped in September, which coincides our return to full-time teaching and learning for all students and staff as we expected. The cases reported within the EPS remain consistent with what I reported 2 weeks ago. So we're seeing 1 to 5 cases every day among students and staff. Obviously, positive cases are related to testing, which we want to expand in the coming weeks, and which I'll talk more about the test and stay later in the presentation and during tonight's meeting. So this slide shows where the city stands on vaccination percentages among 12 to 15 and 16 to 19-year-olds. So sorry, the next slide. So in terms of first doses, the percentages are 69 in the 12 to 15 group and 78% among 16 to 19-year-olds. 57% of 12 to 15-year-olds are fully vaccinated, while the number jumps to 69% in the 16 to 19 age range. So as you can see, Everett statistics are close to or exceed the state averages, which we actually, oh yes, we do have those on here. We do hope to see the figures edge upward as the weeks pass. And we did break this down a little bit differently so that you could see kind of what is the difference between the first dose and the second dose, as it is important for our students and to be fully vaccinated. We still have a lot of distance to cover before we approach that 80% benchmark of fully vaccinated students. So we will keep you updated. If recent weeks are an accurate predictor of the immediate future, we're unlikely to see big increases in our vaccination numbers. We hope we will, but because we are running sort of 2 tracks right now, one, to encourage as many eligible students and residents as possible to get vaccinated, and 2, to ramp up our participation in the test and stay program, we are actually shifting some of our resources that we had originally for vaccinations at the schools to testing at the schools, and I'll give you more information about that later on in the meeting. So while again, the test and stay program update is a separate item on the agenda, I did want to use to share this chart with everyone. It shows the extent of our testing efforts over the last 2 weeks. So as you can see, the numbers are modest, but we remain committed to doing whatever we can to take advantage of the initiative, which is called Test and Stay, and which is funded by the state. To date, our testing has been supported by Cataldo Ambulance, which generally has representatives at our schools until 9 a.m. In the past 2 weeks, 101 students identified as close contacts that have taken the rapid tests, 14 symptomatic students were tested, and 9 staff who were symptomatic or identified as close contacts were tested, and another 23 additional staff opted in for testing. So among staff and students who were tested by Cataldo, all but staff who tested by Cataldo, all but 2 were able to stay in school. But during the same 2-week period, 167 students were unable to remain in school because we did not have the personnel required to conduct the test and stay program on a wide scale. So for those students, again, the places that we are able to fill that capacity, it's demonstrating to be very effective. We just need to broaden our ability to provide these tests. So now on to our school showcase. It is my pleasure to welcome Whittier School Principal Mike McLucas and Assistant Principal Nancy Sutera to take center stage and talk about the Whittier K-8. Mr. McLucas is in his 26th year in the Everett Public Schools and his 12th year as a principal. During his 26 years in EPS, he has served as a 5th grade teacher, a guidance counselor, an assistant principal, and for the last 12 years as a principal. He earned a bachelor's degree from Stonehill College, 2 master's degrees from Cambridge College, and a CAGS from Cambridge College in school administration. Mrs. Sutera is in her 24th year in the Everett Public Schools. During her career, she has served as a math teacher, math coach, and department chair, and she holds degrees and certifications from Salem State University, Cambridge College, and AIC. Both Mr. McLucas and Ms. Sutera are Everett High School graduates and respected members of our community. And having worked with them over the past year, I can attest to their amazing dedication and the care and compassion that they demonstrate for the community that they oversee. So without further delay, I would like to respectfully request us to invite Mr. McLucas and Ms. Sutera.
Make a motion to invite Mr. McLucas and Ms. Sutera.
I'll second.
Okay, motion is made and seconded to invite Mr. McLucas and Ms. Sutera. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Welcome.
Well, thank you very much. Mrs. Sutera and I are delighted to be here this evening to speak on behalf of the Sumner G. Whittier School. And without further ado, can we have the next slide, please? And there's the beautiful Sumner G. Whittier School. And next slide, please. So the district enrollment slide shows the Whittier School has 616 students with an average class size of 21 students. We have sheltered English immersion classes for grades 1 through 7, and 42% of our students are English learners. 13% of our students receive special education inclusion services, and we use the co-teaching model at the Whittier School with our special education teachers for differentiated instruction. The enrollment change graphic shows the frequency in students arriving and withdrawing from our school. An average class size is listed here, with classes ranging from 24 to 18 students. Next slide, please. This slide highlights the great diversity we have at the Whittier School as seen by the home languages spoken in student homes. Our largest populations include the following. 41% of our families speak Spanish at home, 25% speak Portuguese, 20% speak English, and 4% speak Haitian Creole. Additional languages on the pie chart can be seen, such as Arabic, French, Russian, and Vietnamese. In total, there are 21 languages spoken in the homes of the Whittier School students. Next slide, please. Our instructional focus is vocabulary and use of rich academic language across all content areas and specialists. This strategy has bolstered scores on standardized tests such as MCAS and WIDA Access for ELs by focusing on root words, word splashes, scaling, the Freyer model or the Foursquare, and word walls used as references. We have high expectations for student learning and growth with rigorous and robust lessons that challenge students' critical thinking skills and support student engagement, where they can showcase their knowledge. Scaffolded supports, such as visuals and graphic organizers, support all of our learners. Our instructional leadership team meets regularly to share best practices and support teaching and learning. We met with all grade level teams last week in data meetings to analyze data from beginning of year assessments, including Dibbles 8, Arcadian's Math, and iReady Reading and Math. We formulated win blocks, or what I need blocks, where students get pinpointed, targeted instruction in areas needed for improvement or enrichment. We monitor progress at 4 weeks, and the cycle ends at 8 weeks, where growth is measured and students can move to new groups as needed per data. Domains for reading are phonics, phonemic awareness, high frequency words, vocabulary, comprehension of informational text, and comprehension of literature. And for math, the domains include numbers and operations, data and measurement, algebra and algebraic equations, and geometry. We have an extra period of common planning time, which certainly assists all of our grade level teams for 45 minutes, which is once every 6 days. Next slide, please. Our school-based focus is fostering resilient learners. We've had ongoing staff professional development with Kristen Sowers and Pete Hall from the program, and we'll continue to do a book study. For more, you can see fosteringresilientlearners.org. This program focuses on trauma-invested practices and the importance of creating safe environments for our students and staff. Attunement is being able to read someone else's emotions. Empathy is a true connection and understanding of what it's like to be in someone else's shoes. And resilience is the ability to acknowledge and attend to difficulties while still persevering to meet expectations. We see challenging behaviors as an unmet need. For example, if a student needs to be addressed, we ask for a private connection. Maybe something happened before school, or as they arrived late and didn't eat breakfast. By building meaningful relationships, we're able to regulate a student and help them develop responsibilities. For adults, some unmet needs may be, maybe you didn't have your coffee in the morning. That could be enough to set you off. So unmet needs will lead to responsibilities. Sometimes this may take away instructional minutes, but it maximizes them when we build trust and support. And a quote from Dr. Comer, "No significant learning occurs without a significant relationship." Have the next slide, please. Okay, a positive culture. We have monthly character education themes. We started out in September with respect, and that's followed by responsibility. And the list continues with courtesy, honesty, perseverance, integrity, sportsmanship, and you can see the rest there. We have monthly quotes by a student from each grade level, and they're posted throughout the building. And we have stickers shared by staff to students who show the monthly theme. And when they have those stickers and they get dismissed, their parents and guardians are quite pleased. We're creating heritage dolls. Students bring home a template and directions to create a doll with their families members that represent their culture. And these dolls line the foyer of the Whittier School. And it's a great thing to come into the school and see all of these heritage dolls that represent all of the wonderful backgrounds of our families. And on this slide, you can see some exemplars in the middle. We have morning meetings with quick lessons and tips on monthly themes. We get support from Mr. McCarthy, our Chief Equity Officer, and Mr. Quigley, our Social Emotional Learning Coordinator. And we also have support from City Year through AmeriCorps. They give student support in the classroom at the Whittier School for students in grades 3 through 8. Okay. We also have class ambassadors who support new students that speak their language and assist with school assimilation to schedules and expectations. Next slide, please. So as the superintendent had mentioned, we had our Welcome Back community event. The picture on the bottom left is from that. Our families got to meet with grade level teaching teams at tables. and find out all about the great things that are happening with their teaching and learning in the classrooms and all kinds of different resources. We had Student of the Month Awards ceremony on September 28th, and there are a couple of pictures on the top there pertaining to that. We had a parents' breakfast supported by our PTO, which is really just coffee and some pastries, but we bring our parents in and we have different slideshows that we review with them. We went over wind blocks and again, all the resources and supports that are happening at our school, and we make connections with them. And I can't thank our family liaisons enough for all of their support regarding that. We're planning a fall festival for October 20th, and historically we've had pony rides, petting zoos, and all kinds of fun games, and we're looking to develop that, as well as a winter carnival. And in the past, we've had teachers dress up as Anna and Elsa from Frozen. It's kind of a nice way to bring everybody together. And we're looking at a STEM night on March 16th. We've reached out to the New England Aquarium, the Museum of Science, and MIT, among others, to assist us with that night. We send notices, posts, and call alerts in multiple languages, and we even created a monthly newsletter that went out recently, and it's called The Wave, giving everybody updates. And again, thanking our family liaisons for their support, Ms. Fiestas, who speaks Spanish, Ms. Almeida, who speaks Portuguese, and Ms. Lamore, who works with our Haitian Creole families. We also use Lionbridge telephonic services to reach out to our families, as well as text message alerts, updates on the website, and use of Class Dojo and Remind apps. I'd also like to put a big shout out to Project Bread for their support at the Whittier community event and all of the weekly drop-offs of extra food for our families, as well as laundry detergent, towels, you name it, they're there to support us. Next slide, please. So for extracurricular opportunities, the September Enrichment Academy is now into the October Enrichment Academy and will soon transfer over to Alphabest after school program for K to 5. We have ongoing violin lessons for kindergarten through grade 8, and band lessons have been happening as well. We had our student council where speeches and voting for president, vice president, secretary, and treasurer was all done online and overseen by a faculty advisor, Mr. Francavilla. And our chorus and trivia clubs are still in the planning stages. Next slide, please. Obviously, thank you so much for all your support and providing excellence in academics and compassion, support, and understanding. We are the Whittier Waves, and a big thank you to our amazing educators, support staff, students, and families for making the Whittier School such a special place to teach, learn, and grow. And at this point, Mrs. Sutera and I will turn this back over to Madam Superintendent.
Thank you so much for this amazing update. If it's okay with the committee, I'm going to keep them up for a while and then we'll take questions at the very end. So I just wanted to wrap up things tonight. I actually wanted to share with you a letter that I received from a gentleman named Lowell Jorg, who lives in Stockton, California. So Mr. Jorg sent the EPS this postcard that is pictured here featuring the original Everett High School on Summer Street, which is the current home to the Whitney Laurenti House. So Mr. Jorg does this quite often, actually, if you Google him, as part of an effort that he calls a redistribution of happiness. And as such, I just wanted to share this with all of you, and we will be keeping and framing the postcard. So the letter reads as follows. So, good morning. I was in an antique store and found this circa 1905 picture card showing your beautiful school building of that era. I'm thinking you might enjoy seeing it. How it ever got out to California, we'll never know. At any rate, I hope it brightens your day. The card itself is an old-time classic. I said to myself, by golly, I think I'll send it home where it can be appreciated. Our heritage is important to all of us. Lots of changes, I supposed. Enlarged and posted up, it will create some nice conversation. Well, I gave $6 for it, so if you want to give 7 or 8, that would be okay with me. Throw in a little postage too if you want, and sure, I enjoy souvenirs. My wife used to laugh at me and say, if you hear from them, you'll have to take me to lunch. On June 26th, I celebrated my 93rd birthday. I have to say, I just don't know where all that time went, but thankfully I'm still going strong as far as I know. By the way, I like to call my little hobby a redistribution to happiness. Our world needs more of it. And here's wishing you and your staff a happy, productive, and a year and a relaxed Labor Day from Lowell Jorg at the Oaks Assisted Living in Stockton, California. So I just wanted to share that. It did bring some happiness to our day, and we are going to let him know that we read it online, and I will be sending him reimbursement for his amazing gift. We really appreciate it. It's so, it's wonderful to have like these little things that just make you smile, and for somebody to take time out of their day to help us honor Everett, I just thought was really amazing and something I wanted to share. So with those kind words, I actually wanted to turn my attention to someone very special. I am sad to say that tonight is the last school committee meeting for our Executive Associate of Project Implementation, Adeline Celestin. Addie, as she is affectionately known to all of us, has taken an exciting position with the Boston Public Schools. If there is the slightest negative when you surround yourself with talented individuals, it is that they are going to be sought after. It has been an absolute pleasure to work with Addie, who has played a critical role in helping me over the first year and a half of my tenure here in Everett. She's smart, strong, compassionate, thoughtful, insightful, and we're often told it is a small world, so I hope it's small enough that we get to cross paths with Addie many times in the future as she continues to build her career. And with that, I will open up for questions.
Any questions of Mr. Barros?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I do have questions to the superintendent and to the principal and the assistant principal. I guess I should start with them. Well, thank you both for your presentation. My question is, you never have everything that you need in your school, right? That would be that dream scenario. But how are things at the school in terms of support, staff, operation? Are there things that you need that perhaps you don't have it now? And feel free to say in a public meeting, feel free to say in front of the superintendent. That's no retaliation.
No, whatsoever.
What is the dream scenario that both of you, leaders of that school, would like to see that perhaps you don't have? And maybe the ESSER funding, which I hope you fill out that questionnaire, would perhaps bring to the school.
I think it all starts with staffing. We were able to bring on a new arts and crafts teacher to add to our specialist staff, and we had a permanent substitute teacher in one of those positions just to make our specialist schedule work and have coverage for everyone for their prep periods. But we brought someone on that started today, Miss Caroline Egan. She's teaching arts and crafts, and we do have one permanent substitute teacher. But to make the building flow as best as we possibly can, we could definitely use more permanent substitute teachers. There have been scenarios where we've had multiple people out and we've had to bring students to the cafeteria, or I run up and I'm teaching a gym class. Mrs. Sutera's working the telephone as the administrative assistant / assistant principal / custodians. So yeah, it depends on the day, but it does come down to that. We have ordered some other materials to make our building flow a little bit better, like our library area. We asked for some partitioning to assist with our future staff that work with PT, OT, speech therapy, that kind of stuff. And I think some colored ink as well.
All right. I remember I'm sorry, go ahead, Mr. Terry. No, I remember over a year ago, when you, I believe it was over a year ago, actually, no. Our lives are like before COVID and after COVID, so way before COVID. When you presented, I don't remember which of my colleagues brought up the elevator in your school
Yes.
that was not functioning. Is that elevator functioning now?
It is functioning fine and it gets serviced regularly.
Oh, got it. Okay.
Yes, we haven't had any issues with it just yet.
So more permanent subs would be
Oh,
something that you would needed.
Definitely, definitely. I ran something by the superintendent as well. There are a couple of two families close by. You said dream scenario, so if I could dream, we would have that location and create a basketball court, a tot lot for our youngsters, additional parking for our staff.
Got it. All right. Good to know. All right. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, should I go back to the superintendent, or you'd like another colleague to ask the question, then I'll go back to ask the question to the superintendent?
You're on a roll. Keep
All
it
right.
going.
So superintendent, the Parent Information Center. You know well that even before you became the superintendent, I complained to you directly about the conditions of the Parent Information Center. That place was not a welcoming place for our families, and our families shouldn't be there. I went there, and I couldn't stay there for 10 minutes because I couldn't breathe, because that rug never received or I shouldn't say never, but cleaning there was something that was, lacking. Now you are bringing the Parent Information Center back to City Hall. What are you bringing along? What kind of improvements are you bringing? I would hate to go back there and see our families being welcoming in that place that they were before. Nothing against City Hall. City Hall is a very welcoming place, but the condition of that basement, it was not something for our families.
So yes, so I do remember that, and we have kept that in mind. I was actually, so Miss Jeanette Velez, who is our community engagement coordinator, she had actually looked at the space and was definitely convinced that we can make it the welcoming space that we want it to be for our families, and it does have a greater amount of space for the operational needs. So we are outfitting it. I do think that once it is all complete, I'll bring pictures and give you an update, and maybe you can take a tour. But that is our goal, is to make sure we make it a welcoming place that, that families want to be in.
Got it. All right. Okay. Thank you. And thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Ms. Murray.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My question's for the superintendent as well. First, I'd like to second Marconi's position on the Parent Information Center. It was not a happy place. And as a new parent myself a long time ago, signing my kids up, it did not build confidence in me to be sending my babies to a school that would welcome me in a center like that. So my expectations are very, very high, and the pressure's on. My other question, though, was about the hours. So you had said that it would be open on Fridays from 7:30 to 1:30. Is that impacted at all by the fact that City Hall is closed on Fridays, or does it have, or how are we dealing with that?
So yes, we will still be open. It won't be impacted by that. So we will still be able to be open at those times on Fridays.
Ms. Cadello.
Okay. I'm just so impressed, and I commend you and your entire staff at the Whittier School. It's just amazing how things have transpired. And even with COVID on our tail somewhat, but with everything you've done, and to be able to service our students of so many different backgrounds, and it's, all inclusive. I'm just very impressed, and I thank you and your entire staff for all that you've done for us. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
Ms. Lambert.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Through you, first to Mr. McLucas and Mrs. Sutera. Again, thank you for the focus, especially on, looking at behavioral challenges as unmet needs. I think that's, one of the restorative practices I've championed for years. As we come back from COVID, and I know my colleague asked, as far as resources, but what do students need, and what, I know that's exactly what you're giving them, but have you seen any, as you're looking at unmet needs, have you seen any rise above that we as a community can help with?
It's a really good question, and I think one of the things is something we can't just hand over to them. I think it's stamina. I think it's getting back to the stamina of getting through the entire school day, all the way to the bitter end, and persevering and working their hardest, and not letting little social things blow up online, and that can really consume our days, because we take all of that very seriously. It has so much to do with the growth and development of our youngsters, and the supports we put in place and the work we do with them. So it's just the ongoing focus of creating resilient learners, because if you can become resilient, you just, no matter what family or background you have, you just never know what's going to happen. And so people don't fall to pieces, so to speak. If you're building up strategies to persevere in life, it's not only going to affect the students in a positive way. I'm hearing that it's affecting our staff in a positive way too, in their daily lives.
Excellent. Thank you so much. And just one question for the superintendent. Have we given any thought to maybe having quarterly after hours or Saturday hours at the Parent Information Center?
So we actually, since it was peak registration period, we actually did run the PIC Center on Saturdays. So at this point, we've been doing it as the need arises. So when we have registrants, school is starting, we want to make sure our students are getting into school as soon as possible. Then we do have it on the weekends as well. So we did that for a couple of Saturdays. We don't have any plans at this current point to do it at any other time other than at our peak registration periods. There are times during the year that are
January.
Exactly. So, however, we are open to doing it at any time when we see that, if we don't ever want to fall behind in registration and not have students who are able to immediately go into school. So we would certainly base that on need. And then if there, was any other request or any other reason to sort of have them open on weekends, that's something we could consider too.
And I mean, I kind of envisioned it as, we go over the humps of registration. It's become such a resource and a connection to community resources that, even as we approach the holidays, it can we possibly, and that's why I said maybe just quarterly, and maybe I'm thinking about it differently. Maybe the Parent Information Center isn't the place. Maybe the family liaisons are the people,
so
not
actually,
the place. So.
Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but actually that when I said that we were going to move them there and get them settled and then start to explore further opportunities, that's what I meant, is we do want to now figure out, okay, what is the next move for PIC? What can we do to make sure that it is better supporting our students, better supporting our families, and any innovative ways? So any ideas that anyone has, please feel free to share them with us. We have a couple of ideas that we were thinking about, potentially exploring, and then would obviously bring them here and update you as we normally do. But we definitely have greater visions for what our Parent Information Center can do and be.
Great. Thank you so much. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
If I can, to the chair, to Mr. McLucas and Mr. Tara. December 2019, I had the privilege of taking 3 out of the 4 superintendent candidates around the district. We visited your school, and you and all your colleagues all had the same cry: more building autonomy as a building leader. One of the things that we did differently, or that you saw differently this year, was a formatted budget book by school. Just curious, your feedback on that. Was it what you're looking for? Did it help? Did you feel that you had, you were heard and you had, honest input in developing that particular budget for the Woody School?
I think it was a long time coming, and it gave us that autonomy that we really needed for professional development with our staff, school-based focus, general supplies. So yes, very much so. It's greatly appreciated.
Okay, and then I'll follow on to that because you mentioned staff. Part of that, those conversations, again, was district-wide. All your peers said the same thing. More autonomy as far as staffing decision goes. Do you feel we hit the mark? There needs to be some improvement.
I feel that you hit the mark as far as candidates, and depending upon when we can bring them in is a totally other scenario. So that as you get deeper and deeper into the school year, obviously there are less and less candidates, and that's
Right.
what we're facing right now. Even though we could still use more support, you get like maternity leaves or extended illnesses that just pop up.
Okay, but as far as say a position that's budgeted, that has a number of candidates to choose from, you as the building leader, do you feel that you are making the decisions as
Yes.
the leader for your staff?
Yes.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions, comments for Ms. Murray?
I was just wondering, we saw data on students being vaccinated. Are we allowed to know how much of our staff is vaccinated or what those percentages are? Or is that something that's sort of off limits?
So we haven't really dove into that at this point. We have been in conversations with the union. They had even actually suggested exploring vaccination mandate. I know that the MTA was supporting that, so we were in conversations with them about that. We earlier this school year or last school year, when we were trying to figure out what we needed as far as capacity in order to hold the vaccination clinics, we asked them to reach out because we wanted people to feel comfortable to tell their union if they were or weren't, because at that point we weren't trying to figure out who, we just needed to know how much do we need to provide. So at this point we have not officially gathered that information. However, we are starting a vaccination, there's a platform where if we were to have vaccination mandates that you would be able to, it's called VacSex, I forgot what it's called, but it's a platform where we'd be able to log and track and keep all of that information. So we are preparing, as we do believe that is coming in our future, but since it hasn't been mandated yet, we haven't officially collected it.
Any other questions, comments? Make the motion. Oh, I'm sorry. Ms. Lewis.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And I have a question for the superintendent. So for the survey for the ESSER, did you receive any student feedback, or is it categorized with the school staff?
So teacher, school staff, community member. So yes, you're correct. So we did not receive any student feedback. That is a great point. So we will need to make sure that we do outreach to our students. Thank you for bringing that up.
Okay, any other questions?
I will excuse our guests with customary thanks.
I'll second.
Okay, motion made and seconded to excuse our guests for customary thank. Thank you for appearing tonight. Have a great year. And all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. Thank you.
Thank you, folks. Appreciate it.
right, so item number 2, and before we move on to Ms. Lewis's point, we are disseminating it to the survey to staff. So we will, because getting the feedback is ongoing. That is an oversight on our part. So we'll make sure that staff receive the survey, and we'll also connect with you about encouraging students to fill out the survey.
Great.
All right, so item number 2 is an update on the DentaCare program. DentaCare is a public health hygiene practice that provides on-site preventative dental service to our students. All services provided by DentaCare are at no cost to the students or the parents or the school. So I would love to bring forward Shalini Lahoti to give an update on the DentaCare program. Oh, sorry, just one moment. They're going to vote you up.
Make a motion to bring our guest.
Second.
Okay, motion has been made and seconded to bring Lahoti forward. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Welcome to the school committee meeting.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you for your time, Superintendent, Mr. Abramsky, Chairman. I am extremely fortunate and delighted to be a part of a service provider, a dental service provider in schools. This is a very unique opportunity that I have to give access to care to otherwise students who do not have much access, or parents who have a couple other jobs and do not get timely to the dentist's office, and hence results in absenteeism and increased taxpayer dollars in the ER visits. If I could just, so this, we'll just go over the program overview, what we do, and what my part is as a provider, as a dental preventative provider in the schools. Next slide, please. And the next. Thank you. So as Superintendent mentioned, this is a public health dental hygiene practice, which provides on-site dental preventive service. So this is a mobile dental program or a portable dental program. We set up our equipment in the nurse's suite or the nurse's office. I've worked in all sorts of spaces. I'm extremely grateful to say that Mr. McLucas and Mr. Brady before at the Whittier have provided me ample room in their stage, because the nurse's suite is. So it's a portable dental program. It can be situated anywhere which as necessary. That's the beauty of it. As you can see, we serve in 2019, over 7,000 students in all our neighboring towns. Some of them I actually see floating around, like floating from Riviere and to Everett and Somerville. And so I'm actually able to have them as a service provider and take care of them, even if they switch towns and cities over the school year. We've done this since 2014. I've actually been a provider with the Department of Public Health since 2010. And then we founded DentaCare for our school district here in Everett. Next slide, please. So the way this program works is we would set up our equipment in the nurse's office. As you can see, it's exactly like a mini dental office, only that it's on wheels. So we would check kids' teeth, do an oral exam for any diseases, any abnormalities and stuff. So at the end of the day, and then the big thing is to prevent cavities from happening. So we would put sealants in kids' back molars or any other deep, they call it fissures in the language, in the dental language, any deep grooves that we have to seal them so there's no cavity or decay or food gets lodged in there. And then finally, they would all receive a fluoride varnish treatment, which is just a little simple coating of fluoride, which it protects the teeth over a long period of time until they get back until they have the next 6-monthly visit. A big focus is on the education piece of it, and like almost like show and tell, and train them to make it that they are able to like empower them to do it on their own as a group, or with special needs kids, singularly as the need arises. Everybody gets obviously a little goodie bag, and there's a discharge letter, or almost like a parent letter that goes home of what the visit was, what was done with the kids that day on that visit. A copy gets to the nurse. I keep a copy, and a exact same copy goes with in the goodie bag with the kids. What we pride ourselves is the case management piece, or the follow-up piece. Any decay or cavity, or if a child does not have a dentist, the big goal of the program is to have them have a dental home. At this point of time, I really want to mention we do not provide cleanings in school. If we started to, we noticed that in the beginning we started to do that, everything was being done in school, and that is not the goal of the program. The goal of the program is for everyone to have a dental home, for dentists to flourish in our community, because we need them. It's kind of like a cohesive, intermingling kind of a relationship. So we do not do cleanings in school. Also, it's the out of class time, which is what I have to focus on, because if you start doing cleanings, again, it's not going to be like a dentist's office. So we're compromising on care. Not to say that there are some other programs who are doing that, but I'm not going to speak for that. But we provide sealants, an exam, fluoride varnish, and a case management piece with their dentist. All the equipment and our licensure is very strictly monitored and guided by the infection control practices by the American Dental Association, American Dental Hygiene Association, the Board of Registration in Dentistry up in Boston, CDC, and Department of Public Health. Next slide, please. So this is like a sample, like a letter, or the permission slip, or permission consent form, you can say, that goes home. There's a green consent form underneath it. So this is available in all the languages that are spoken amongst our students and their homes. It's a dual English and Spanish, English and Portuguese, English and Haitian Creole, English and Arabic, and so forth. It's all the other languages are with the school nurse, and if the teachers demand so. Sometimes the rosters do mention that there are 3 Portuguese kids or Haitian Creole kids. Accordingly, the packets are placed in the teachers' mailboxes, depending on the languages and stuff like that. And the teachers distribute these consent forms after they receive them from their mailboxes. So this service is, I do want to mention the no cost piece of it, because these are technically Medicaid dollars or mass health dollars that they opt in. So it's a voluntary program. So not to say that it's free, but I would like to say that it's at no cost. There's a little bit of a gray, like a, just to clarify that piece, please. As I mentioned before, because this is a preventative program, it reduces, we catch things before they become big. So we have I would say over the time of this program being in the city, we have seen school absenteeism reduce dramatically because of dental visits, because we try to not let things blow up so much that they're out with pain or repeated dental visits over the period of their treatment. And it's from the time the kids are out of the class and they're with me or with our assistant, it's almost 10 to 12 minutes, no more than that. Unless it's a child or a student who I have never seen and needs extensive work or it could be probably 20 minutes, but no more than that. But an average visit out of class time for a child is between 8 to 10 minutes or so. As you can see, it says sometimes there are kids who have never ever been in a dentist's office or even have opened their mouths out to anybody. And then they feel super comfortable being in their school environment, in the nurse that they see every day, everybody is so familiar. They kind of open up, and are the anxiousness around the dental visit, which even as an adult, so many of us do feel that, is drastically reduced. They feel so comfortable once they get to a dentist, and they say, okay, this is like the norm and this is what we do and things like that. And as I mentioned, the education is a big piece and built into the child's visit. Some of them I've seen probably since, I'm not sure, second, like preschool, and now they're going into middle school and things like that. So we do tailor our education depending on the age and the child's needs as we are seeing them. Next slide, please, Hattie. This is the consent form I was talking about that's going inside the packet that we saw previously. This is the one also available in all the different languages that we talked about. I do want to mention that initially when the program was launched, obviously there was less awareness and the parents did not know much about it. So we started to incentivize, or I actually like to say thank our teachers for their time and effort that they put in to distribute these forms and collect them. And at this point of time, I do want to mention this program runs our highest focus is to be least invasive on teachers, the nurses, or anyone else in the program. All they have to do is send these forms out and bring them back. And for that, we say, even if the parents want to say, no, we don't want to participate, just bring them back. So there's awareness around the program. And then they either get an electric toothbrush or a Target gift card, which they eventually just spend it right back on their classrooms. No one ever, very, very few teachers have opted for an electric toothbrush. That's kind of like an extra if, but for the most part, that's what they do. We try to do a recheck after 3 months. It happens to, let's say if we are in fall in school, then sometime in March or April, we'll revisit back to see if we referred the kids out, has the loop been closed? Have they gone to the dentist? Have they gotten the care that they need? My staff at my they have kind of like a timeline. If you've referred someone out, we'll call the parent in 3 weeks, then after a month, and definitely we'll check back in when we have the revisit, like the spring checkup again back to the schools. Next, please. For COVID, I did want to put this slide in. This is a super busy slide, but all I want you to know is we are doing everything we can and more. I'm closely following DESI's guidelines also, as the superintendent mentioned. However, the masking policy, all of that, it's always been done, but in knowing, in COVID situations, and we are in such close proximity, my staff and I are being tested every Friday. So we get 2 days before we come back on Monday. And I'm extremely cognizant of, any new person coming into the building. I am very, very grateful just for them, the principals and the superintendent, Mr. Bremsky, to even having me being like that external provider to be in the buildings. As we all know, we're trying to minimize any other person being in the building. Yeah, please. Next slide, please. These are just some numbers, and I'm very proud to say this is completely and solely due to the welcoming environment of our principals, our secretaries, and our nurses. definitely our teachers. They are on top of it. They look forward to me when I walk in the building, and the numbers speak for themselves. These are just this is just the data I have for the 5 years. Last 5 years, like I mentioned, I don't have much data when I was working with DPH on this, but as you can see, it's 185% increase in the number of kids who participate in this program every year. Next slide, please, Addie. This is just a pie chart showing the distribution of kids who participate in different schools. At Devon's and at Adams, we do very extensive education in class by class, especially at Devon's, because it's we all know it's special needs kids, and it's access to a big focus is on education going from class to class, and same thing for Adams and Webster Extension also. If any teacher requests, we do make the class visits to in one of their periods to give a big educational demo with all the fluffy toys and the equipment and toothbrushes and stuff like that, if a teacher requests so. The 90% referral completion rate is what I want you to focus on. That's the biggest goal. And I think out of everything that I do, that is the one thing that I'm super proud of, that we do not let any student hang loose after we see a disease or a cavity or a decay in them. Just, okay, here's a referral sheet, you go figure it out. No, we have very strong relations with the local area dentists here, especially the ones who accept Mass Health, because that changes from month to month, not just year to year. They do say that they accept Mass Health, but when you actually go down on the reality on the ground, there's only a certain amount of patients that their front desk is allowed to take in. And then they say, they kind of I don't want to speak for them, but it's not super encouraging when a family walks in with Mass Health and they have a certain amount of quota that they have for Mass Health. So having said that, the community dentists are extremely capable, and we have special relationships with 2 or 3 offices. When there's a phone call that goes from either one of the nurses or from me, and the kid needs help, they do get a priority appointment, even if they're booked out. That's what I just wanted to share with you, that is kind of like a USP almost. Next slide, please. Over the years, we've decided that we'll provide every school with like a dental box almost, with all the nitty-gritty of anything dental that they come across, the brace wax for the middle schoolers especially, and anything and everything that I can think of in my cache that will help them function around the dental piece. Like last year, I don't want to harp too much on what we do and give and all that, but just a little, something around, just as a thank you to the teachers. We are definitely a big part of a community partnership. I feel that. Next slide, please, Addie. With the health fairs and JCCHE, all of that. Some schools we've made a little poster board. Next slide. That in the nurses suite, sometimes the nursing students do that. Sometimes we offer to do that, because this stays throughout the year in the nurse's office, and for everyone who comes across and passes through their room, it's just central in their mind, just to have dental central in their mind. That's it. Next slide, please. And this is just one of the snapshots from one of the fairs. Next slide. Some of the schools tweet our being there. Like, this is just, I'm just sharing it. This is one of the schools in Riviere. So that was something I thought that was interesting that could be done, that probably just to so many parents and especially the high school kids are on Twitter and social media. So that helped us bring our numbers in, especially in high school in one of the in Riviere. And then just wanted to share that. Next slide. And that's it from me. Thank you so very much. I wanted to keep it short. I apologize. I went a little bit more than what I had expected. But again, thank you for your time this evening. Any questions?
Mr. Barros?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Not a question, but something that I noticed. You said that the consent forms on the presentation, they are available in English, Spanish, Portuguese, Arabic, Mandarin, and Vietnamese, correct?
Yes, Haitian Creole.
That was not on the slide, and that was going to be my question, because I think it's important in the Everett Public Schools.
I'm sorry. Yes, it definitely is. I actually speak workable languages, like working knowledge of Portuguese, Spanish, French, and hence Haitian Creole. But I apologize. I will add that. It is
Fine.
Definitely available. Yes.
All right. Thank you. Thank you so much for all you
pointing
do.
it out.
Appreciate it. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Any other questions? Maybe more so to Ms. Lewis.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. A question I had was, what services are provided to students who stay for 20 minutes versus 10 minutes? Like, is it more services? Is it different, or is it the same?
It's a great point. So what I wanted to mention is if there's a child who's never been seen at the dentist's office or by me, it's their very first time getting any dental work done. They have all their molars that need to be sealed or put sealants on, and in multiple things need to be checked out, because when a child who's previously being seen by us, we have a record of them, what was done last year, what was not done. And when a student opens their mouth, you can see what work they already have and are regularly going to the dentist. So the 20 minutes that you're mentioning is for a child who's either never been seen by a dentist, or if they don't have a lot of sealants in their mouth for whatever reason, and then we need to do an extensive amount of, I don't want to say extensive amount of work, but more sealants need to be placed on their molars versus a child or a student who's previously been seen and pretty much all their teeth have already been sealed or the sealants are in place. So they just need to be looked at, examined at, and not much needs to be done in their mouth if they've visited me or the dentist regularly, year by year, or 6 monthly. That's the time difference, what I wanted to.
And what if a student has, like, let's say a cavity or something like major with their teeth? So do you provide students with support who don't have mass health, or how do they get further help? Like, from
Yep. Excellent point. So the kids who do not have, so first of all, no one gets denied a service, insurance or no insurance. That's the secondary piece. If the child has consented, or the parents have consented, or in high school they themselves have consented or signed up for it, they're 18 or older, they will not get denied their service. If they do not have mass health, we actually are one of my assistants work with them to help them get insurance. We've done that multiple times over past years. It takes 3 to 4 months for the entire family to get on mass health with their social security. So there's through mass health, there's information. I have a cheat sheet that they can just, there's a link to acquiring medical health, which is mass health, and the dental piece is inbuilt into it. So if they can get, and based on their social and all of that, if they can get mass health or they're eligible to get insurance, we help them get insurance. Having said that, over the span of a year, there have been students who do not have no insurance or cannot pay. I don't want to say a lot of pro bono work, but there has been some pro bono work done from DentaCare along with the dentist with their cooperation, or having gotten them onto a payment plan, things like that. So we work out whatever needs to be done, whatever is the need of the hour. So if they don't have insurance, help them get insurance. If they can't, if they're not eligible to get insurance, then somehow get them the treatment done, not to say that they don't have insurance and they have a cavity and then we cannot do anything about it. Till the last minute, we keep thinking, what can we do to support them so that they can be in school and not just be on Advils or Tylenols and just, live with that pain.
All right. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks.
Any other questions of our guest?
I'll make a motion to miss our guest with a customary thanks.
Oh, second.
Okay, motion made and seconded to excuse our guest for the customary thanks. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. You have. Thank you.
Thank you so
Thank you for your
much.
time tonight.
Thank you so much. So item number 3 is just a quick test and stay program update. It is clear that we are still lacking the capacity to fully implement the test and stay program. We did meet with City Hall, who let us know that they mutually agreed with the school nurses that a third party should be responsible for the testing. As a result, we have also engaged CHA in conversations about how they can support our testing initiatives. Additionally, at the district level, we will be posting positions for COVID testing, contract tracing, and monitoring, tracking vaccination status, and responding to vaccination exemptions. So we are still in conversations with CHA and the city. However, they have agreed to support us, and as I mentioned before, shifting some of the capacity away from the vaccination clinics and to the test and stay program instead, so that we can utilize their support in that way.
Okay, any other questions? Any questions, comments? Superintendent, thank you for the update.
Thank you. So item number 4 is to request approval of authorized signatories for the district, which we do every year. I respectfully request that myself, Deputy Superintendent Kim Sai, and CFO Anu Jayant be granted approval as authorized signatories for the district, which would be the same as last year. This would include grant submissions, contracts, and any other agreements or MOUs that require a school district official's signature.
I'll move to request to approve the request.
Second.
Okay, motion made and seconded to approve the request of approval for authorized signatures of Superintendent Tiliani, Deputy Superintendent Sai, and CFO Giant. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? So moved.
Thank you. Item number 5 is to request authorization to sign the contract for Northeast Technology. So you may remember that this year the bids were split into 2 parts, one for the IT network support, which is like our firewalls and stuff, and one for help desk support. So the reason we split them is because we plan to bring help desk support in-house eventually and need the flexibility to do so separate from the network structure IT security portion, which most districts do for liability purposes, vend out. Northeast has won both bids, and we request authorization to sign a 1-year contract with them for help desk support and a 3-year contract for the network support. So the 1-year contract is, again, so that we can transition to an in-house model. You may have noticed that the cost of the contracts has gone up since last year, main reason being the additional technology and IT infrastructure that EPS has added to its network environment as a result of COVID, but then also, again, it's just a result of upgrading our all of our equipment and entering into the 21st century.
Any questions on the matter? I need a motion.
I make a motion to authorize the superintendent to sign the contract with Northeast Technology.
I'll second.
Okay, motion made and seconded to authorize the signing of the contract with Northeast Technology for 1 year for help desk and 3 year for additional firewall-based services. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. You have approved.
Thank you. Item number 6 is to request approval of the Everett Public Schools Medical Emergency Plan for the 2021-2022 school year. So this is actually a follow-up to this item from last time. So I respectfully request to invite up Mr. Obremski to give us an update on some of the additions that we've made in order to support some of the concerns and requests that we heard.
I'll make a motion to invite Mr. Obremski.
I'll second.
Motion made and seconded to bring forward Mr. Obremski. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. Mr. Brumsky?
Thank you, Mr. Parker. In 2012, the Commonwealth of Massachusetts passed a law enforced by the Department of Public Health that all schools must have a medical emergency plan. As part of that plan, the Everett Public Schools in each building has trained individuals in cardiopulmonary resuscitation, also known as CPR, first aid, and how to use an AED machine or an automatic external defibrillator. You can also see from reviewing the plan that we have multiple AEDs in some of the schools. Everett High School has 3 AED machines in various locations in the school. The English, Cavarian, Lafayette, Powell, and Webster and Woody have 2 AED machines because of the size of the school. And the Adams, the Devins, the Webster School Extension, and the School Administration Building has 1 AED. And I know there was some concern, especially by Ms. Murray last meeting. She spoke to me after the meeting that we only had 1 individual in some of our smaller schools, but we have changed that. And as you can see, that has been updated in the plan. Originally, the Adams, the Webster, and the Webster School Extension only had 1 person trained in CPR, other than also the nurses included, but we did also add another staff member. So there are at least 2 individuals trained in each of those schools, not including the nurse. And at the School Administration Building, we'll actually have 4 individuals that will be trained. So that was updated, and I believe that was sent to you in your packet. Thank you.
Ms. Lambert?
I just wanted to piggyback on Miss Mari. We were kind of on the same wavelength there, and I did notice that we have more. There were a few schools in particular that have far lower than other schools. Is there a way that we can run, whether it be a program or some type of CPR training for our staff to increase, just because the more people in each school, the better. And I don't want any parents to, or family members to be nervous. We have trained people in every school, but just the more the better. So if there's a way that maybe we can offer something like that, I don't know if that would be possible.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, through you to Ms. Lambert, if that's okay.
Yes.
Yes, Ms. Lambert, we certainly could do that. I could work with the superintendent, the deputy superintendent in Ann Arbor, who handles the professional development, to see if that's something we could offer to the staff members. And Ms. Lambert, part of the reason, especially at the high school where you see so many, is because it's mandatory that all the coaches have to have CPR. Mm-hmm. So if you're a coach, and some of the other buildings do have some coaches, that's why there are more in some of the other buildings. It's mandatory that they have it. But we also did train some additional staff other than coaches in the buildings also. But I will work on that.
Yeah, I think that's helpful. Even it's a learning opportunity for everyone, and it just makes us safer, especially with staffing kind of shifting around and such. So thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Any other questions, Mr. Bremski? Ms. Murray?
I just wanted to quickly thank Mr. Obremski for following up on our conversation and for being so prompt in relaying the information that we do have more people trained in CPR than we originally thought. So thank you so much for that, Mr. Obremski. It makes me feel much better.
You're welcome, Ms. Murray.
And if I could just add one question, school resource officers, how many do we have servicing the district?
I believe at this time, Mr. Parker, we have, and if anyone else has any further information, they could jump in. I believe we have 3 school resource officers located at the high school, 1 at the Devin school, and 1 who oversees them, for a total of 5, I believe, unless somebody else has further information than I have.
Okay, and I only bring that up just to point out, additional resources servicing the district. That's all.
Those individuals are also certified in CPR also, Mr.
Correct.
Parker.
Yes. And I only ask questions when I know the answer. So thank you for that.
Hopefully we're on the same page. 5.
We are. Any other questions of Mr. Bremski? Ladies and gentlemen,
Make a motion to excuse Mr. Bransky for customary thanks.
hold on. Why don't we, if I could, there might be other agenda items. I'm looking at, especially like number 11. We might have some questions. So if we could just hold off and just, I'd entertain a motion on the piece itself.
Move to accept the emergency medical plan.
A second.
Okay, motion is made and seconded to accept the emergency medical plan. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. Motion carries.
Thank you. Item number 7 is to request approval of the student activity accounts for the school year 21-22. The student activity ledger shows all active accounts along with their ending balances on June 30th of 2021 and their current balances to date. And a copy of the ledger has been forwarded to you.
So the superintendent is requesting approval on these accounts. I'll make a motion to approve the request.
I second.
Okay, motion made and seconded to approve the request of the student activity accounts for school year 21-22. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. You have approved.
Thank you. Item number 8 is to request acceptance of $662,398.73 from the Massachusetts Department of Elementary and Secondary Education. This was a manual adjustment emergency operating cost reimbursement payment. So these funds were designed to provide additional reimbursements for emergency operating costs that were incurred during the COVID-19 public emergency. So the additional funding is provided to compensate for the loss of breakfast and lunch revenues during the early months of the pandemic due to COVID-19 related restrictions and unscheduled closures. So regarding this grant, we ended up FY21 with a $405,000 deficit and some change. This supplement allows us to cover that deficit and have a buffer of $256,000 for this year.
Move to accept $662,000, $662,398.73 additional DESI funds.
I'll second.
Okay, motion is made and seconded. If I can on the motion, where is the money right now?
That is a great question. I would refer to our CFO if you would like to invite her up.
Can we entertain a motion
Move to invite Ms. Giant.
A second.
Okay, motion made and seconded to bring Ms. Giant forward. Hi, Ms. Giant, welcome.
Good evening.
So the money itself, is this something that's already been deposited into the general fund, which will require a transfer, or what is the mechanism behind this?
No, so this is the same mechanism as how we get our school lunch revenue. So it would go into the school lunch grant revolving fund.
Okay, so it's a somewhat of like a direct deposit. Okay.
Correct.
Great. All right, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, so the motion is made to accept the additional DES funds for a total of $662,398.73. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved.
Oh, sorry. Do we want to
Okay.
keep up, Ms. Giant?
Yeah, might as well keep her throughout the report of the superintendent.
Thank you. Item number 9 is to request acceptance of the $30,000 COVID Safe Cooling Strategies Grant from the Metropolitan Area Planning Council. So this grant was awarded for $26,800 last year, which we did in partnership with the city to offset the cost of utility bills for families. This year we applied and we received $30,000, which we plan to utilize to again support our EPS families with utility bill assistance.
Make a motion to accept the $30,000 COVID Safe Cooling Strategies Grant.
A second.
Yeah, motion is made and seconded to accept the $30,000 COVID Safe Cooling Strategy Grant. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. Motion carries. Next item, please.
Thank you so much. Item number 10 is to request acceptance of an Everett Special Support Earmark in the amount of $275,000. These funds are a state earmark for Everett, of which $200,000 is allocated to the Everett Music Program, $50,000 for the Everett Middle School After School Robotics Program, and $25,000 for Everett Public Schools for services provided to unaccompanied youth experiencing homelessness. We want to thank Senator Sal DiDomenico for advocating for these funds to be included in the budget to help support these valuable programs. As you know, the $200,000 is to assist the funding of the EHS band trip to Hawaii in December, an update of which I will be providing at our next school committee meeting.
Your pleasure.
Make a motion
To accept.
Second.
Okay, motion has been made and seconded to accept the Everett Special Support earmarks in the total of $275,000. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. Motion carries.
Thank you so much. Thank you again to Senator DiDomenico for his support. Item number 11 is to request disposal of outdated textbook and curriculum materials at the Devin School. There are 329 items in total. These are textbooks and curriculum materials that are no longer used in the Everett Public Schools. The materials include outdated student textbooks, teacher editions, and supplemental materials in biology, ELA, social studies, and mathematics. And I think the entire list was included in your packet.
Move
Make
to,
a motion, make a motion to dispose of the surplus material.
second.
Okay, motion is made and seconded to dispose of the surplus materials at the Devon School. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. And before we move on to the next Roman number 6, if we could have a motion to excuse both Mr. Bremsky and Ms. Giant.
So moved.
Okay, motion is made and seconded to excuse Mr. Bremsky and Ms. Giant. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you for your time. Next item, please.
Thank you so much. So Roman numeral 6 are items submitted by school committee members. The first one is recognition for Mercy Botchway, who was awarded the Human Armstrong Award. And this was submitted by Ms. Lambert.
Ms. Lambert.
Thank you so much. I just wanted to take a moment and I apologize. There was some confusion with the invite. I would have loved Mercy Botchway to be here to speak on her own behalf, but I wanted to share Mercy Botchway is an Everett High School senior. She was recently awarded the Human Armstrong Award by the American Association of Disabled Persons, as she was one of 6 awardees nationwide, actually broader than that, but out of 185 nominees, she was one of 6 winners. She was recognized for her advocacy and passion for justice at every intersection. I first met Mercy as a sophomore student and a leader of tomorrow. She's also a member of the Youth Council and founder of YDE, or Youth Disability Empowerment Club, among several other extracurriculars that she finds time to do. Mercy knows firsthand the power of self-advocacy and how it's helped her in her trajectory. And she's dedicated time, energy, and care to empowering her disabled peers, as well as educating her able-bodied peers, educators, and policymakers alike. She's challenged me on many occasions to think about policy from a different perspective outside my own. And I appreciate so much that she takes the time and the energy to do that. And I hope you'll join with me in congratulating her on a very big achievement. There will be a video interview coming out very soon. And Mercy is a deaf person who has, she makes me so proud in the work that she does, and she does so much to educate us all. So just thank you and congratulations again, Mercy. And I will refer that back to sponsor.
I'll second.
Okay, motion is made and seconded to refer the matter back to sponsor, but we certainly look forward to the video being posted on all platforms of our social media. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Congratulations, Mercy.
Thank you so much. Item number 2 is 3 alleged open meeting violations as submitted by Mr. Stephen Fitzgerald, 2 dated 9/17/21 and 1 dated 9/21/21. This was submitted by Chairman Parker.
First of all, I'd like to make a motion to amend to a dated 9/16, not 9/17. So if I could make a motion to amend from 9/17 to 9/16, please.
So
Second.
moved.
Second.
Okay, motion made and seconded to amend and change from 9/17/21 to 9/16/21. All those in favor?
Aye.
So we're familiar with the process here. This is, becoming a bi-weekly event. In fact, as we were sitting here, you all got copied on the email with the alleged open meeting law complaint on tonight's meeting. Apparently, someone stamped a piece of paper the wrong way, so they feel that's an open meeting violation. So we will dispute that through the proper channels. So you all have noticed. So with that, on this item number 2, if we can, as in the past, if we can have a motion from the floor referring the matter to myself and Ms. Canty to respond and then accordingly.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
Second.
Okay, motion made and seconded to refer the matter to Ms. Canty and myself, Frank Parker, as chairman. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? So moved. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So we do not have any subcommittee reports this evening. So we'll move on to Roman numeral 8, which are bills and payrolls.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve bills and payrolls in the amount of $969,710.47.
Second that. I have a question, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, the motion's before us. Questions, comments? Ms. Cadello, I'm sorry.
Thank you. Just one question. In total other, Ms. Lambert, what is the 125,697.21? It says total other. I couldn't find where that added up from anywhere. It's in 2 spaces. It's under total budget 2021, then total other, then grand total all bills, and then it appears again on the final page. It says total other.
We can certainly bring forward Ms. Giant on this one.
Make a motion to invite Ms. Giant.
A
Second.
second.
Motion made and seconded to bring Ms. Giant back before us. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So move.
I apologize. Could you repeat the question, Ms. Cardello?
Yes, Ms. Giant, thank you. On the summary of the budget, there's 2 places where it says 125,697.21, and it's on the final page, but it's on the page before that. It says total budget 2021, and then it says total other, and it just doesn't say what other is. It's the same amount, the 125,697.21.
I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to go back and check, but I think because we have bills that we pay from the last fiscal year, so it's just separated out by the bills that we had to pay from encumbrances from the last fiscal year versus bills from POs that we put on from this fiscal year. So I believe that's the difference, but I do want to just confirm that and get back to you to make sure that it's correct.
Is that money that should be paid right now so that we don't get any type of penalties though?
Yeah, it does total a lot of invoices that we've had to hold on to as well because the city had to roll over prior year POs for us. So we did have invoices from vendors that we were holding till the city was able to roll those funds over. So there would be a lot of like, time sensitive ones on this for sure.
Okay, so we're kind of compelled to pay that 125 to whatever it is, even though we're not sure what it's for exactly, right? But we feel compelled to pay that because we'll be falling behind if we don't.
If you're more comfortable, I guess we could, if you could vote on the 21 budget, the 844,000, we can get back to you on the 125,000, but I'm not sure what it compromises off yet. So I'll have to look into the specific bills.
If I can, to the chair, because of COVID, we had changed our finance meeting protocol that all the documents were shared or being shared electronically between myself as chairman and Ms. Lambert as the chair of the finance committee. It's also signed off by Ms. Giant. It's also signed off by the superintendent of schools. And of course, everything that we pay for has a PO or something associated that's been approved by City Hall. We can certainly get you that detail. It wouldn't be difficult. But I think transparency as far as accounting has really moved, has made great strides under Ms. Giant's hard work in administration. So I think we can get that. But my feeling is if we could prove the motion as made, we can certainly address the 125 at a later point, and then we might have to rethink with the changes of COVID about going back to maybe the old. Actually, something.
Mr.
One second. The finance way things finance, as far as I'm concerned, as chairman, is going to work great until the end of the year, and whoever's going to be in charge come January, they can address it at that point. So it's been working.
Well, I was going to say, I'm sorry I'm taking so long to answer. I'm just trying to add up the encumbered expenses because what Ms. Giant had said was exactly what I had thought. But we do receive the packets on Friday. So if you ever have questions like this and you want to forward it to me, as we did change the procedure, I would have been prepared with an answer. But in the meantime, just because I have them all right here and they're available upon request prior to the meeting, I do believe it is all the encumbered expenses, as Ms. Giant said. But
I'm not questioning if we owed the money, and it wasn't available from Friday until today, so I really didn't have a chance to look at it. When I saw it today, it was about an hour before the meeting, so that's why I didn't call anybody. I don't have it. It's pennies in comparison to the entire budget, so I don't have a problem. I'm not thinking anybody is doing anything underhanded at all. I just couldn't see where it added up. I was looking at some of the smaller expenses and didn't see it. I have no problem paying it. I just had a question. Thank you.
Okay, so we'll get that information out. We'll take note moving forward as far as this sheet goes. By the way, this sheet, this is something that was inherited, and it could be probably a better format moving forward too. So with that, there's a motion made and seconded to approve bills and payrolls in amount of $969,710.47. On this item, let's have a roll call vote, please.
Yes.
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 Yes, 6 in the affirmative, 0 negative, you have approved. Ms. Lambert?
Mr. Chair, I make a motion to pay bills and payrolls in the amount of $969,710.47.
Come on, quick, I need a second.
Oh. Second.
Okay, Ms. Sani, please get well, come back. Okay, so motion made and seconded to pay bills and accounts in the total of $969,710.47. Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Abraze,
Yes.
Mr. Barrows,
Yes.
Ms. Cardello,
Yes.
Ms. Lambert,
Yes.
Ms. Murray,
Yes.
Mr. Parker.
Yes, 6 in the affirmative, 0 in the negative, motion carries. Next item, please.
Yes, the next item of business is Roman numeral 9, matters for executive session. And that is discussion of strategy with respect to litigation if an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the litigating position of the public body, and the chair so declares pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 21A3, to wit, 3 ETA grievances.
Make a motion to go into executive session and adjourn from executive session.
Second.
Okay, motion is made and seconded to enter into executive session for the matter of litigating position of the public body, and chair so declares pursuant to Mass General Law 30A, 21A3, to wit, with ETA grievances. We will adjourn an executive session, meaning that we will not return to vote in the chamber. Roll call vote, please.
Yes.
Mr.
And if I could, Addie, you will be missed. Good luck.
Thank you. Mr. Barrows,
Yes.
Ms. Cardello,
Yes.
Ms. Lambert,
Yes, and a big we'll miss you, Addie.
thank you. Ms. Murray,
Yes, and I'll miss you, Addie.
Mr. Parker.
Yes, we are moving into an executive session because the vote is 6 in the affirmative, 0 in the negative. Thank you.